to see. So maybe we're afraid. I don't know. What would you say, you yourself? I mean, I have a few maybe ideas, but what would you say could be some feeders of let's say, preaching or sharing or witnessing to the gospel? Yeah.
Losing a
Losing friends. What if I say something and they don't like what I say, and now we're not going to be friends anymore? What else? Anything else that could be potentially something that we can be afraid of? Yeah. Not even to know it's to fit in. Not even be able to fit in. So now they know I'm a Christian, and they have maybe no religious affiliates, and now like I'm sticking out, and maybe I won't be able to fit in. Anything else? Yeah. You're being judged, right? And that's if you see any society or mainstream, even social media. Oh, Christians, they're all bigots. They're judgmental. They don't like, they judge because they're against homosexuality. They're against this. They're against abortion. They're against anything like any. So, Christians are very, very judgmental. So maybe also feeling maybe judged or criticized. Yeah, those are all real fears. These are all real fears. Anything else? Yeah.
Maybe not having all the answers.
Not having all the answers. What am I going to say? I don't know what to say. Like, where do I start? And then I get afraid. Then I'm afraid. Yeah. You guys have all the answers. Good. Anything else? Yeah, I think you mentioned most of them. So we can, like you said, yeah, we don't. Sometimes, like, what if I say the wrong thing, right? I don't know what to say. What if I tell them that, like, I don't know, like, the church, and I don't know the fancy Christian names, and then it's in the incarnation and the condescension. And I freak out. I don't know what to say, right? You mentioned that being maybe embarrassed, maybe not being able to fit in. So you mentioned that as well. Somebody mentioned this also. We might lose friends because maybe we're sharing something and we might lose what they're going to say. Maybe we'll make a mistake. I'm not going to represent my faith well, so we're afraid. We're afraid to speak. Or somebody, again, you mentioned almost all these points on your own. Maybe that they're going to reject you. They're going to criticize you. They're going to judge you. Because we're trying to share our faith. Whether we call it preaching, whether we call it witnessing, whether we call it sharing. And all these could be leading to fears for me not being able to step outside and be able to do that. So one thing we should know is don't assume a few things. See, these fears that we have, like we're assuming. We're assuming a lot of things. We're assuming that they're going to ask us a lot of questions that we don't know. We're assuming that they don't want to even hear. We're assuming a lot of things. So, number one, to overcome some of these fears, is don't assume. Don't assume that people are more willing to talk about faith than we actually expect. And again, we're not shoving it down. We're having a conversation. And this is like statistically, if somebody starts talking, again, there's statistics on everything now. As people are willing. Well, tell me more. Why do you guys do this? Why do you believe this? Right? And people are actually willing to have a conversation. So if that's my fear, statistics say that people actually wouldn't mind having these conversations. So that maybe I can overcome my fear by that way. Don't be afraid of questions. Don't even be afraid of questions that I don't know the answers to. Use questions to be a bridge, right? So if they're asking you things, why do you do this fasting thing? Let it be a bridge. Let it be a bridge explaining why we fast. Why go to church? Like, why can't you just come with us and have Sunday brunch? We're all gathering at Melissa's place. Come to Melissa's and we're having like, we're making pancakes with, like whipped cream and making faces and pumpkin spice this. And why'd you come? I'm going to church. What's church? Why do you go to church? Let it be a bridge. Let it be a bridge. And that's your witness. What is church for you? What does church do for you? Right? So and you're not explaining dogma. You're not explaining great theology. You're not explaining, the concept of salvation, but you're explaining whatever the question is. Why do you fast? Why do you go to church? What's in the Bible? What's this book that you guys read? What is this Bible? I know about the Bible, but what is the IBLE thing? Oh, let it be a bridge. Let me tell you about the Bible. Let me tell you about maybe one of the most important parts of the Bible, which is the gospel. And the gospel is all about the story of Jesus. And again, so the question that we're afraid of, that we won't ask, let it be a bridge. Let it be a bridge to maybe, again, planting seed. So sometimes we feel like, well, I have to have success. I have to be able to get them from school to church, to liturgy, to the baptismal font, to being a Sunday school servant. That's success. And I'm afraid I can't do that. I can't bring somebody and they're going to be a Sunday school teacher, right? Well, nobody's asking this, but can I be a person to respond to questions? Can I be in a position to have a conversation? Because now statistics say that people are actually willing to give and take, to just understand, to have a conversation. And don't assume that you don't know a lot of things. I'm not, yes, of course there's a verse, don't worry, the Holy Spirit will teach you in that very hour what you're about to say, right? Well, maybe, I don't know. Like, first of all, it's true. Second of all, maybe it's not like the Holy Spirit's gonna recite the whole Gospel of John to you, and it's like, wow, my lips are preaching John 5 an hour. But maybe the Holy Spirit could just give you, I don't know, maybe just anything that you learned in Sunday school, anything that you read in your own Bible passage, that all of a sudden, maybe answers that question. And even if we don't know the answers, we say, you know what, that's a great question. Let me dig a little bit deeper and let me get back to you tomorrow, next week, or whatever it is. And then find out. It's okay. Not everybody knows the answers to everything in life. So let's not be afraid of those things that we mentioned in that first part. There is that fear. Everything you mentioned. But maybe those fears are based on assumptions. Why don't we challenge those assumptions? Why don't we challenge those assumptions and not assume that people don't want to talk? Not assume that I have to know, like, I will talk, I have no problem, but I want to go through pre-servant and then, then like maybe seminary, and then like, I don't know, learn everything, get a degree from whatever, and then I'll talk. Don't assume that either. Maybe you're never going to do that. That means we're never going to talk, we're never going to witness. And don't assume that you don't know anything. We'll be surprised what we know. We'll be surprised what we know. Actually, there's 5 surprises I want to share. This is again from a lot of people interviewing these people. So number 1, we're assuming people don't care. People don't care about church. People don't care about God. A lot of people feel guilty, believe it or not. A lot of people are guilty about not attending church. And they feel intimidated. So when they pass by a building like this, like you have a beautiful church, right? To us, it's a beautiful church. It has a dome and it has, all the stuff that we're used to. They look at it and it's not what they're used to. They're used to a house. They're used to a school. And and it's a square or a rectangle and whatever. And it's not so, and again, we love to make our churches beautiful, right? People are not used to it, and they feel intimidated. And at the same time, it's like, maybe I should go, but then they, I don't know, don't cross, and what is, I don't know, what's inside. So there's that aspect. So people are intimidated. So it is true. So that's why, like, it's rare, it happens, but it's rare that people will just drop in, right? Like, just drop from the sky, they're gonna land in our church. People do that, but it's very rare. Most people are invited. And that's what we want to focus on more today. The inviting, the at least planting the seed to let them know a little bit more. Surprise number 2. So in 1993, 67%, but now it fell to 47% as of 2011, are likely to attend if they are invited. So maybe even less. Okay, let's say half the people I invite will attend. That's not that. Let's even say a third or a quarter. So people are intimidated. They're not going to just, Zabuna Ruiz there, can I come in? They're not going to do that. But if I say, hey, we have an event, we have a Bible study, we have Vespers, we have this, would you like to come? And again, this is not just out of the blue. This is built on a relationship. Again, most people, or at least half the people, but will honestly even be happy with less than that, they will come as well. You know what the problem is? You see what the last part of that is? What's the problem? So half the people, and that's shrunk. So half the people will come, but only 2%. Only 2% of Christians will invite other people. Half the people will come, but almost nobody invites them. You see the disconnect there? So again, so not even invite, nobody's even talked to them. Very few people who are non-Christians said that Christians actually even talk to them. And I said, yeah, nobody's approached me. Nobody mentioned anything about, like, I know that there's a church that exists. I've heard the name Jesus, but nobody's really explained it to me. This might be also another surprise. We think, because again of social media, it's so powerful, we think that everybody's perception of Christians, they're judgmental, they're critical, and that's because there's an agenda out there, right? So we think that everybody doesn't like the church. Everybody doesn't like Christians. Surprise! Most people have a positive view of Christians. Who are the people? I know it's, like 1 month ago, we've all seen the hurricanes in Florida and the destruction. Who are the people that are there? Who are the people that are providing the water, the manpower? It's Christian associations, Christian groups, churches that bus people, churches that come and volunteer and come. Whether it's in America, in Canada, in Europe, it's usually Christian associations that will come for disaster relief. And people see that, and they acknowledge it and say, well, it's like, yeah, maybe, like, so that's why there's a lot of, like, you think of a lot of the positive things, people who are protecting, battered women, for example, and shelters, homeless shelters, women shelters. Who are these organizations? They're Christians. They're Christians. People know that. So they're associated, it's not that negative, because they know that a lot of the stuff that's happening good in this world is in that as well. And the last surprise is maybe this is a surprise for us because we think like, what's the church going to do? But they feel like, there's could be a relevance in there. Let's read a quote from one of our fathers, Saint Cyril of Alexandria. And we can hear Saint Cyril almost speaking to us. So how then does he command the holy apostles, who are innocent men and sheep, to seek the company of wolves? Maybe that's how I feel, right? I feel like I'm a little sheep. I feel like I'm going among wolves. I'm scared. I'm intimidated. Saint Cyril was saying the same thing. And go to them from their own will. Is not the danger apparent? I mean, now our danger is like what we said. Maybe our danger, some of us felt like our danger is that we might lose friends. Their danger is they might lose their lives, right? So it's lose friends, lose lives, but it's still a danger. Are they not set up as ready prey for their attacks? How can a sheep prevail over a wolf? And that's maybe a question that I ask. How am I going to do this? How am I get over a fear? What if they embarrass me? What if they abandon me? How can one so peaceful conquer the savages of the beasts of prey? Yes, he says, for they all have me as their shepherd. Now everything switches. It's like, I'm not alone. I will be with you. You're my sheep. He's saying, I'm your shepherd. Don't worry. I'll be with you. I'll be with you at that time, because it's him that wants the message to be known. So they all have me as their shepherd, small and great people and princes and teachers and students. I will be with you. I will be with you. I will help you. I will deliver you. This is a commentary from when Jesus sent them out as sheep among wolves, right? And for them, there was a big risk for them. And maybe we feel that also as sheep. But as sheep, we have a shepherd. And he says, I will be with you. I will be with you in this time. So let's know certain facts. We said, let's not assume certain things. Let's acknowledge that we do have fears, but those fears are based on things that I'm making wrong assumptions. And then maybe today I was pleasantly surprised. I was maybe pleasantly surprised about maybe the reaction of people, and maybe it's not what I thought. So number one, have confidence. So to overcome some of these fears, have confidence that have confidence. Have confidence in God's message. Like for you yourself. And say to yourself this verse from Hebrews 13:5. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Every time I feel nervous, every time I'm hesitant and I feel intimidated, should I say it? Should I approach? I will never leave you nor forsake you. Just be confident. Be confident. And remember, just like Saint Cyril, what Saint Cyril said, I'm the shepherd. I'm not going to leave my sheep. I'm not going to do that to you. If you're willing to risk and because out of obedience that I want you to share, don't worry. I'll never leave you nor forsake you. And as we said, that verse, Luke 12:12, the Holy Spirit will teach you in that very hour what you ought to say. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to know every verse, but whatever you say, maybe we feel like the Holy Spirit will help you say the right thing. Maybe give the right comfort. Maybe give the right direction. It doesn't have to be a verse, doesn't have to be a sermon, but the Holy Spirit will teach you what you ought to say. Now, maybe he'll bring remembrance. That's what we say in that third hour, right? It brings remembrance sorts of things. So again, we maybe know more than what we expect. Understand the message that like this has to be convicting to me, that when Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, there is no other way. So if I'm the only person that's maybe exposed to that friend, to that person in my class, and they don't know that, then that's kind of a little bit of a shame, because he said, I am the only way. Maybe they're following a wrong way. And again, don't be overwhelmed, as you're not expected to bring them and baptize them. But we are expected to just share, to speak, maybe to invite, if, at least, if an opportunity comes up. Understand that God always desires that all men to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. It is his passion. It is God's heart that he wants everybody to know about him, including your friends. He desires that all of them to be saved. He desires that they know that the way, the truth, and the life is in our Lord Jesus Christ. So be confident in that message. Next, understand that's the message. But understand that God is basically sending you. Be convicted. Don't say, remember that first slide? No, not me. I don't want to take that last shot. I don't want to pick the restaurant. I don't know not me. Right? No, you. Be convicted. Be convicted that God sent you. Be convicted that we, yes, it may seem like I'm going among the wolves, but he is our shepherd, and he will not leave you. Remember that first one? I will never leave you. I will send you the Holy Spirit who will teach you in that very hour what you ought to say. I want them to know about my Son, that he is the only way, the truth, and the life. I want them to know that he desires all to be saved. The message. Be convinced that that's the message, but be convicted that I am the messenger. Be convicted that I am the messenger. Right? Go and preach the gospel to every creature. That's us. He's speaking to us. Preach the word. Be ready in season and out of season. So be ready. What does that mean? Be ready? Lots of things. But the biggest thing is be ready with your ears. Be ready to listen. Listen to some hurt. Listen to some curiosity. Right? Be listening. Like, look for opportunities. Like remember those questions. Those questions that could be bridges. Look for those opportunities. Be listening. Listen always. I'm never going to see an opportunity if I'm not listening.